This podcast is not sponsored or supported by any business or organization. The views reflected on these podcast episodes are my own. Please be aware I am not a medical expert, travel agent, or any other kind of expert. Hey everyone, welcome to the Eat, Explore, Love podcast. I'm Ashley. This podcast is based off of my blog of the same name, Eat, Explore, Love. It talks about the unique challenges in traveling around the world when you have celiac disease. Due to sort of popular demand, I decided to also record a podcast to delve a little deeper into my travels and the lessons learned along the way. Hi everyone! As we approach the end of the year, we are also approaching the end of Season 1 of Eat, Explore, Love, the podcast. It's been a wild ride with lots of adventures to share. We are taking the first few months of the year to regroup and figure out our next steps, and the Eat, Explore, Love team would love to hear from you. We have a couple of ideas brewing, but we want to hear from our listeners to see if there's anything that would be helpful for you. We're looking for any type of feedback, ranging from, should I look into getting a co-host? Would you like to be more of an active part of the podcast where I interview you guys about your favorite cities? Would you want to hear from more medical experts, travel experts, self-love experts? If you have any thoughts, we want to hear them at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. We at Eat, Explore, Love appreciate all of your support and kindness in listening over the past year. That's 130 episodes that you've sat through and listened to. I've been so lucky to not only be able to go on all the adventures I've been able to experience, but I've been so lucky to have all of you to share this with. Make sure to sign up for our newsletter and send us an email at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Now, back to the show. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Eat, Explore, Love, the podcast. For this episode, we're talking to work-life balance coach Arlene Miller. Arlene is a really great resource for women in being able to see the bigger picture of life and making sure you take care of yourself so you can help others, essentially work-life balance. We also discuss the power of listening and breaking the barriers of gender. If you're interested in Arlene's services, make sure to check out her website and feel free to text her at the number on her site, where she will make herself available to you in whatever way is needed. Enjoy the show. Hi, Arlene. Welcome to Eat, Explore, Love, the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm really grateful to be here today, too. I'm excited, too.
So I wanted to have you on to talk about work-life balance because I think that's a thing that it's newer. It's in the world of, corporate America. That is, I talk to my grandparents and they don't understand what I talk about when I'm talking about work-life balance. But I would love to hear more about your background and what led to us being able to talk about this work-life balance thing today. So can you tell me a little bit more about you in your own words?
Sure. So I don't know, when I was about 15, I decided I want to go to law school, which I did. Became an attorney, worked for some small law firms for a couple of years. And I'm like, I don't like this. I want to go into business for myself. So I opened my own practice in this little neighborhood outside of Cleveland, Ohio. A couple of attorneys and other business was there, very small scale. And about right when I started, maybe it was a month later after I opened my business, I found out that I was pregnant. So I have been either gestating a baby or being a mother like the whole time that I was an attorney. And my husband was a workaholic. We're not together anymore, and so I was raising the child. I was the one getting my business off the ground. I was the one doing everything. And To say that I could have used someone like me at that time is an understatement. I was still in my late 20s, almost, I think it was 30 when my son was born.
Mm.
And so I wish that I'd had someone like that, like me back then, to help me figure out how to live my life, how to be a good mom, how to be a professional. And so after I'd been an attorney for a long time, and I'd moved to Colorado, and part of a smaller firm. One of my friends started her own school. She was a professional certified coach at the time. Now she's a master certified coach because she wanted to do something different. And she kept on saying, Arlene, why don't you come do this? I'm like, I'm an educated woman. I don't need anything more. But I decided to, and it's the best thing I ever did.
Mm.
It really helped me, like, with communication skills, with negotiating skills. When we had employees, there was a lot to handle at the other firm, once I wasn't just not all by myself. So that's how I ended up to begin with getting into coaching. And then eventually I went, oh man, I like coaching so much better than I like the practice of law. And so several years ago, we sold the practice,
Mm.
and that's been more of who I am. And I guess the why is that, like I shared before, I really think it's necessary, and I want to help women that way.
So, what does it mean to you that you get to be this work-life balance coach and help women? Because I feel like with women in particular and mothers in particular, are a special breed of superpower and superhero because you can't take a sick day from being a mom. You are, it is nonstop and it's never enough and it's never, I feel like mothers seem to always feel like they're 10 steps behind. And it's part of why when I made the choice to not pursue being a mom, that was a big reason why. Um, how, so what does it mean that you get to give women that sense of empowerment back? Is it a long process to be able to help people figure all that out for themselves? What does it mean to you and to be able to do that for people?
Well, first of all, I'm not giving them anything. They
Mhm.
already have it inside of them.
Yeah.
And I don't view myself as like a creator. I view myself as a co-creator. So we're coming together and we're finding out what works for them. And so they might feel stressed and overwhelmed and anxious, and they have so many things on their plate. And a lot of it I feel is also like passed on genetically,
Mm.
from grandmother to mother to daughter. I mean, it just seems to go on and on. And so I feel like I'm helping to break that cycle. And I'm not the only life balance coach out there. Um, and so my whole goal is to help women like myself work from the inside out, find things inside of them that can help them feel calm and relaxed and grateful and able to handle what life presents and still do what they do. Sometimes they have to rearrange their lives. I'm not going to tell them to do that, but we can explore things, and I can help them work through different kinds of things to help them internally, like gratitude and breath work, and all sorts of other things to balance ourselves from the inside out so that they feel different on the inside. Because as you know, when you feel really stressed and anxious and you have a pile of things to do, it's like impossible. When you're like, oh, I love to do this, I'm more calm, everything usually often flows. And so I guess that's how I work with women. I'm not sure, did I answer your question exactly? But I know that's just what came out.
No, that's perfect. That exactly answered my question. What you mentioned that there's a different process for everybody. How do you determine what's your process with a new client in determining what's going to work best for them? And are you able to pick that up fairly quickly at this point?
You know what? My goal is to have no expectations with a
Yeah.
client. And if I try to direct them in one certain direction, that's not going to work. And I find that when I just it's like I'm riding the horse, but I don't need the reins anymore. I can just ride it with my arms up in the air, like I'm a really good horseback rider, which I'm not. But my clients always surprise me because
Mhm.
basically what I do as a coach, full stop, whether it's a work life balance coach or anything, is I hold a really strong judgment free space for my clients, and I also hold a really strong space of unconditional love. I mean,
Mm.
the coaching community calls it unconditional positive regard, but it's really just unconditional love, so that the person I'm working with feels safe. They know they're not going to be judged and they can share anything. And if we ask questions and we share insights, it's amazing what comes out of the women that I work with, because the answers are already inside of us. We know them. We just need someone to give us a space to share them. So sometimes I have an idea, but usually I just go in with a blank slate, because I know that who I'm working with is gonna find their own way if I hold space and ask powerful questions and share things that I'm noticing along the way.
So where do the 11 steps that you have that are you feel are key to achieving work-life balance, how does that all fall into the process of helping women achieve that work-life balance?
Well, it's really funny because you saw them as steps. I've never seen them as steps. Okay,
Yeah.
like my business is called Jules Consultancy, and
Mhm.
I've always envisioned things like a jewel.
Okay.
Like they're like all different aspects of a jewel, but they all work together. So whether I'm working with gratitude, or I'm working with breath work, or I'm working with, helping someone go from an inner critic to an inner coach, or we're working on having clear and strong appropriate boundaries, they all sort of flow together. They're not singular and different from the other. It's not A to B to C.
Mhm.
It's sort of like a thing that can all flow together, and whatever works for somebody works, because one thing might work for you and another thing might work for somebody else.
So can we talk through what those 11 what do we call them, points instead of steps? Is
Yeah,
that a better term for that? So there's gratitude, breath work and relaxation, getting off the hamster wheel, celebrating our victories, releasing what's keeping us stuck and experiencing more love, how to maintain clear, strong, and appropriate boundaries, transforming our inner critic into an inner coach, how to fill ourselves with more positivity and hope, embracing kindness, patience, and tolerance, moving beyond glass ceilings and releasing the old, and working with our emergency toolkit. So there's one that stuck out to me is and what I've noticed with the women in my life that I've tried to break the cycle in how to maintain clear, strong, and appropriate boundaries. Is that,
I love that
yeah,
topic.
can we talk a little bit more about that one?
I would love to, because it's a topic that people are so weak in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the thing about boundaries is we do it kind of backwards.
Yeah.
We think that if I feel really good, then I can have really open boundaries. But if we do that, we're going to get whammied,
Mm-hmm.
because we want to set our boundaries not by how we are, because we can be feeling fantastic. We want to set our boundaries how strong or how less strong they are. We always want to have some boundaries by how the other person is.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take you for example. Maybe right now I feel like you're really open, and you're in a great space, and so I could loosen up my boundaries a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe you would get a text or a phone call, and the next minute you'd be really upset or triggered. So we have to sort of do it moment by moment and set our boundaries by how the other person is. And the way I set my boundaries is like I sort of put like this golden bubble of protection around myself, and I'm only open to unconditional love and higher.
Mm-hmm.
So love is love that's given freely, and there's no expectation of getting anything back in return. So if it's that kind of love, you can come into my little bubble. That's my sacred space. If not, it's going to like bounce off my bubble and go back to you.
Yeah.
So that's the basic bottom line of boundaries, is that we want to make sure that if we get out of bed, we feel great and we're wonderful, and then we just open really wide to everyone. You can feel like you've been hit in the gut or the heart, and our ego is going to tell us, see, I told you, like a little kid, boundaries don't work. You shouldn't use them. Well, you didn't do them right. You've
Yeah.
got to set them by how the other person is. Even, and one other thing I want to point out is that what I was doing when I was younger, I would not have any boundaries for the people in the immediate sphere. My partner, my son, my parents, all those people really close to me. It didn't occur to me that I needed boundaries with them.
Mm-hmm.
Of course we do. Just because we love them or we have a deep caring relationship with them doesn't mean we throw away our boundaries, because we can still be kind, we can be compassionate, we can be helpful, we can be caring, and just not let their stuff that's not about love in like our golden bubble of protection.
Yeah.
So we're still loving them, but if they're having a little hissy fit or upset about something with somebody else and not us, I don't want to have that in my energy field.
Right.
And I was always being knocked around by that when I was younger, because I thought that was wrong. I thought I couldn't still love them if I didn't have strong boundaries with them.
How do you, so I was in a conversation with some family members yesterday that I was explaining that a family member of ours was getting very upset with me. And I was saying to others, I'm fine if he is if that person is upset, but I cannot be the emotional punching bag for them. Not that they were quite literally taking it that far, but in that moment they were upset with somebody else and they were taking it out with me on me. And they kept saying, well, and I was trying to set the boundary of I know this isn't about me, but I have to walk away if this is how you're going to, because I don't need to be around that. And people kept insisting and telling me, well, you're just taking this personally. So I don't think so. That's me setting a boundary if I don't want that energy in my golden bubble, as you are phrasing it. Do you have
Yeah.
another way of phrasing that, of explaining that to family members that aren't understanding the difference between setting a boundary so that you don't take it personally? How does that all get navigated?
My first, I guess, I take a step back is that
Yeah.
I always say that other people's opinions of me are none of my business.
Mhm.
They can have a really strong opinion that you are taking it personally and you're doing this wrong. And you can say, I really love you, but this is how I feel and this is how I'm going to handle the situation. And I'm sorry if you have that opinion of me, but
Yeah.
this is what feels right to me.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just have to set those boundaries with other people because they're not going to agree on how we live our life. And it's not our job to change their mind.
Yeah.
That's like beating our head against a wall.
Mhm.
So, I'm the same way. If someone's being bombastic with me, even if they're just really feel passionate about something, they're trying to change my position, they're trying to find out some information from me, that's none of their darn business.
Yeah.
Um, I'll just say, I'll try to work with them for a little bit. I'm just say, I'm going to have to walk away.
Right.
I'm going to have to leave right now. I've even left places where my family was at if someone was like that. It doesn't happen often,
Yeah.
but it's just like, no, this is beyond what I am willing to put up with in my life. And I know that you're upset. And I got upset too. And I think it's better that I just leave.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you were taking it personally. If we do take it personally, then we've gone into judgment. We're not about love.
Right.
I don't, and you don't know that for yourself, but I guess the bottom line is that really doesn't matter in this situation.
Mhm.
What matters is that you set clear boundaries, and whether they approve of that or not is who cares?
Yeah.
Because eventually they'll see that if you're a strong person, that you love them, but if you have a difference of opinion, you're going to go with your own heart's knowing.
Yeah. Yeah. It I just always find it interesting when people feel the need to let you know how you feel and you're like, but that's not how I feel. Stop telling me how I feel. But the other one that stood out to me was moving beyond glass ceilings and releasing the old. So what does that mean to you?
Well, it's pretty common sense once I
Mm.
maybe share a little bit about it. A lot of us in our lives, and I think women. I've just read a whole bunch of that stuff about women being this way. You get a certain place, like in an organization, and because of like all the kind of like if we're in a human body,
Hmm.
we're connected with the entire the psyche of humanity, the mind of humanity, the mind of all men and women, because we're all connected, which means the psyche of humanity for the of women for the past 2,000 years, how we've been put down and kept small. And just recently, what, 1972, we could get a bank account without our husband or a man signing for it. So it's a very recent thing.
Hmm.
And so sometimes women, we come in and we think, even though we're really trained and we're really competent, I can get this far. But if I'm not, I don't feel competent for this. I feel like I'm an imposter.
Hmm.
And so we just work with ways to drop that,
Hmm.
because it's just a story that we've been telling ourselves.
Yeah.
Lots of times the stories that we've been telling ourselves for a really long time, we really feel are true, but they're not. Maybe something happened in childhood or with friends, and we took this on. And so when we're in our mind and hearts going, wow, I didn't even realize I was doing that and it's not true,
Yeah.
then things can drop away and we can step forward.
Yeah. Do you find that, and this is not me having any intention for this to get political at all, but do you find with that one in particular that there, or any of the points on the work life balance, the goals of achieving work life balance, do you find that based on what's happening in the world around us, whether that be on the news or in the media in general, that will impact what key point people need to work on? Like, I could imagine right now that the beyond glass ceilings and releasing the old, that more people are wanting to talk about that right now because of the nature of what is happening in the world as we're recording this. Do you see that fluctuation, or is it truly continuously always person to person and it's always different?
Um, I mean, we all have commonality.
Yeah.
As women, if we're connected with the psyche of all women and all humanity, we're going to have commonality. Most people in our conversations aren't political. A
Mhm.
lot of it's what they raised and their beliefs are in there as well. And people are people. I really feel, maybe to go deeper within your question personally, I feel that there's a lot of energies out there that try to separate people,
Mhm.
that our differences are a lot less than what we think they are because of all the propaganda that's been put out there. And that's really sad. And that, um, maybe when women follow their own hearts more, they can, we can begin to see beyond that, because we're the nurturers and the carers,
Mhm.
and we bring a lot of heart to things in a different way that men do.
Yeah.
So I don't really find that people come in with political stuff, but we all come in with how we were raised and the patterns and programs of belief systems that we have in place. Some are serving us and some are not.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think I was just using the political thing as the example of what's happening right now due to certain comments that were made by certain individuals recently. But there's also, I'm sure in the MTV era, there would be a lot of people wanting to talk about different points like culture, different TV shows, things like that, based on what's the big topic of conversation at any point, maybe perhaps could influence what's being discussed because it's at the top of mind because everybody's seeing it everywhere. But you're saying that that's not the case, that you're not finding in your conversations with your clients that the outside world is influencing your one-on-one conversations.
Well, I think the outside world is going to influence all of us,
Hmm.
but I find that, most people, women included, we don't ever have that place where we just get a complete judgment free zone.
Hmm.
No one's thinking, I'm not thinking about what I'm going to say when I'm talking to you. I'm
Right.
just fully present with you.
Hmm.
And that gift is so huge
Yeah.
that I find that people just fall into sharing whatever's coming up for them. And if it's influenced by the world, I'm sure it could be, it probably is for all of us, but it doesn't come out in like flashing red letters. It's just
Right.
sort of maybe under the background
Well,
sort of
that's
stuff.
good that things aren't making your life more difficult or more complicated. Or maybe it would
I
be
think
easier if everybody's coming to you with the same problem at the same time. Maybe that would be helpful. But that's interesting. And I there's one more point that I wanted to get to, but before I get there, I noticed that and I think I have my own assumption of why this is the case, but you talk about helping women mainly, not men. is there is it because of everything that you've been saying so far in this conversation, or is there what was the thought process in making sure you're helping women achieve that work life balance?
Well, I don't know. I do mentoring. I do like transformational mentoring and stuff like that. And when I'm doing mentoring, it's men and women.
Mhm.
I just feel like I just started attracting women, and it just sort of ended up like that. If a man came to me and he wanted to work with work life balance, I'd be fine with that. That's just not who I seem to be attracting.
Right.
And I do have a more of an affinity with the women with it because I've been through a lot of the things they've been through. I've been single, I've been married, I've been divorced as working, I've always been a parent. Um, and so I have a lot of commonality. You don't have to explain to me what's going on in your life because I probably have already experienced it. And it's different for guys. It's not better or worse. It's just different. Um, so that just happened like that. It just happened. It just sort of flowed.
Yeah, that totally makes sense to me. So, with all of that and all of your experiences and such, what do you find is the emergency toolkit? And that's the last point that I read in the 11 points. How do you get that emergency toolkit, and what even is the emergency toolkit?
Well, it's different for everybody, but what I like to have people, and this what comes with gratitude and taking time outs and breath work. What are your self care routines? How do you show yourself that you love yourself? Because when we get whammied some way, like we have a big project due or something that's due right away, and we have a kid that's sick that needs to go to the doctor, or whatever is going on in our life that just throws us a curveball. It could be like a conversation or a comment for someone in the office that really triggers us. What can we give to ourselves, like an emergency toolkit, to bring us back to that calm place in our hearts? So I'll work with people with that. It could be, because breath work can take us from fight or flight mode to rest and relax mode pretty simply,
Yeah.
just by how we're breathing. Journaling can help. Um, for me, if I get out and I love yoga or hiking in the mountains of Colorado, or just taking a walk in nature and just enjoying her. Sometimes it's just coming home and taking a hot shower because we wash off our auric field. We're washing off our day. We're washing off the stress. We can't do that at the office, but so I work with them. What is your self care? What brings you down? What helps you in the moment? Just to let go and be able to breathe and to step forward and do what you need to do. And maybe what we do sometimes, we just tell ourselves, okay, I feel that I'm really upset. There's something going on here. I have to deal with it, but I'm going to put it on the shelf. I'm going to put it on the shelf till later when I get home and I have some quiet time to myself. And I'm going to calm myself down and deal with what I need to handle now. And then I'll deal with this other thing later. So we sort of train ourselves as well to handle it like that.
I love that. And I was actually going to ask you, how do you achieve that work life balance? So it's being in nature essentially for you is the key to your work life balance and making
I love being in nature. I love yoga.
Mhm.
I love hiking in the mountains. Sometimes I'll just come home and I'm like, I head straight to the shower, even if it's a hot day like today.
Mhm.
Take a hot shower. You clean off your auric field. You let go of your day. You feel cleaner. You put on different clothes, and I feel like I have like a whole new day in front of me. That's one of the things that I do. I work with when I do that with the universal violet flame,
Yeah.
which transmutes and transforms fear into love. So I just flood my shower with the violet flame,
Yeah.
let it flood through my bodies and feels, helps to let go of any fear, any doubt, any disbelief, any angst, any anxiety. Just let it go and just work on, filling myself up with a little bit of love.
I love that. And I feel that like I mentioned earlier in this conversation, I am someone that is living a single life, no children, no plans to change that at, probably ever. And I'm very happy and fulfilled in that way. But I see and watch a lot of other women in my life that are having this difficulty of I have older friends that are moms and struggling to be able to find time for themselves and giving themselves permission to be able to do that without that mom guilt that exists. And then I have my younger friends that are figuring out when to start their families because their career takes up most of their lives and they don't know how to take some time for themselves and fulfill themselves personally as well as career
Yeah.
wise. As a friend watching and seeing, there are certain friends that I truly see struggling, and I'm seeing the bigger picture of what's about to happen to them where it's going to crash and burn on them because your body can only keep up with so much. Is there
Right.
anything that can be done as a friend when you're watching another friend that needs that healthy work life balance, or is it just you're there to catch them when they fall?
I don't know because the only person that we can change is ourselves, and if they haven't asked us for help, um, and we're not there physically with them because you live you're an expat, right? You
Well,
live
I'm back
in
in North Carolina, yeah, for the
Oh, you
time
are
being, but
okay. I
yes.
mean, sometimes we can do
But
things
still
for
not
friend and
physically there with them.
right, right. So we're not physically there. I mean, sometimes we can be just a friend that listens.
Mm,
You know, if you need someone to talk to, I'm happy to listen. I don't think I have the answers for you, but I'm happy to be there for you. You don't want you can still hold your loving boundaries with a friend and not let them dump on you.
yeah.
But we really can't change anyone but themselves. I mean, some of my friends that are attorneys, I'm a allied member of the Colorado Women's Bar Association,
Mm,
just because I want to be around younger women. Um, as a grandmother, it just I remember what it's like, and they're going through a lot of the stuff you're talking about. Um, a lot of them, went from more high stress jobs to less. They might
mhm.
have been in the defender's office and, at trial level, and now they're an appellate attorney, or they're just handling things different. I feel like it takes a tribe to raise a child.
Mhm.
And even though my family wasn't next to me, I had friends,
Yeah,
that I partnered with, my son was in a similar activity with them, and we work with each other.
yeah,
And I was fortunate enough to be able to have childcare and stuff like that too.
yeah,
It does. There is a lot of stuff in the psyche of women that we have to feel guilty
yeah.
if we're not giving everything. And I just, and when my son was younger, he used to try to make me feel guilty. You never want to be with me, and blah blah blah, because I would still go and run and do other things to take care of myself. And it was only in the past couple of years he went, wow, I really didn't get it, mom. And now that he's a father, there's a little bit of there's a lot of gratitude there. the modeling that I was doing for him. But I can't tell other people what to do. You have to make your own decisions.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even trying. I just got pregnant. It's like, oh, you're gonna be a mom now. I wanted to be, but it was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have picked that time, just when I was opening my own practice.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as a friend, especially if you're not there, just go, look, I don't really understand what you're feeling. I can feel your stress. I don't want you to crash and burn. If you want any advice, I'm happy to share what I see. But if you just want someone to talk to,
Mm.
um, I'm here for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what else we can do for them.
Yeah. That's true. And I think it's also a helpful reminder of you don't need to have all the answers. You can just sit and listen. Because I need
No.
to talk less and listen more for sure is something I need to do
Right.
better.
Right. Yeah, yeah, because that's one thing that's more of a we all have masculine and feminine traits,
Hmm.
and the masculine within us wants to fix them and wants to make it all better.
Yeah.
But someone who's been on the other side of it, what I usually need if I was in that place is I just need you to listen.
Yeah.
Because if I have someone that's listening and not judging me,
Yeah.
that's huge. It can feel like I've gone from here in vibration up to here in vibration because someone just cared enough to let me ramble.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yep. For sure. What has been the most rewarding part of this chapter of your career in helping others achieve a better harmony in their physical and mental well-being?
Um, Gosh. Well, I get a lot of joy with helping people, and they have to help themselves. But I don't know, I just get a lot of joy from it. It feels like I mean, I liked being an attorney.
Mhm.
I can't say I loved being an attorney. It was a lot of stress. Um, I ended up like doing a lot more of the marketing and the people stuff in my law firm, which I love to do.
Mhm.
So I just really am a people person. And I really love to see people evolve and grow and have success. And, and that's really satisfying.
Yeah.
And a lot of my clients, they're still like my buddies on social media. I still see them here and there. We still connect, and I get to see what's happening after they've been working with
Mhm.
me, which is really cool as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. Before we wrap this up, I just want to ask you, what do you feel is what is the best advice that you can give for anyone that's like out of all the 11 points I mentioned, what do you think is the most important one that will help you achieve that work-life balance?
Well, we didn't really talk about it that much. I mean, breath work is great because when we
Mhm.
like breathe slowly in through our nose and out through our nose, it helps to calm us down, take us from just fight or flight to rest and relax mode. But I really think that cultivating an attitude of gratitude is really important. And the easy way we can do that is just to look around in our life,
Mhm.
all the foundational things. I have a bed to sleep in, I'm safe. I have a hot shower. I have food in the fridge. I have a car that drives. All those foundational things that we take for granted, and we're always thinking I want this or that. If we really focus, on just being truly grateful for the blessings we actually have in our life, we all have stuff that's happening. We all have challenges. That helps to transform and bring our anxiety and stress down, and it's a lot easier from there to handle things. It just opens a whole new dimension in our life. Gratitude is such a high vibration,
Yeah.
and it's not a thinking thing, it's a feeling thing.
Yeah. I it's funny that you say that. My great grandfather, the family motto because of him is attitude is everything. And then my grandmother is like, I would like to add to that and say it's attitude and gratitude. So I think that you guys are totally simpatico on that. I thank you so much, Arlene. I feel like the time has flown by that we've covered so much in such a short amount of time, but I always close out every episode by asking my guests the same rapid fire questions at the end of every episode. Is that okay to ask you those
Sure.
questions? So, first, it's in the Eat, Explore, Love vein. What do you feel, in your opinion, is the city with the best food?
I don't know. Maybe New Orleans. New Orleans has great food.
Okay, I'll take that. We've heard that before. Do you prefer it? So it's a good one. Do you prefer a vacation that requires you to be active or relax?
Um, well, I'm pretty good with my relaxation time, so I like to be active and do things, but I still like to have time every day to do some sort of chill out thing. So I like to go, go, go. But I also like to have make sure that's not crazy,
You're
you know?
recharging.
Yeah, I'm recharging my batteries.
Yes. And then the last rapid fire question is, what is the city where you learned the most about yourself?
Oh my goodness. I guess, I mean, where I live right now,
Mm,
well, I lived in Longmont, Colorado for a while, which is about 45 minutes northwest of Denver. Now I live in Niwot. It's between Boulder and Longmont.
mm,
But I really love it here because you have a total conglomeration of all kinds of people from all over the country and beyond.
mm.
And you have the mountains, and I've really learned about a lot of myself hiking in the mountains, what my limits are. And I learned to ski when I was 37, which was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
instead of a kid. So I guess I learned about what I could do that I didn't think I could do a lot over here.
yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
guess right
incredible.
here.
I love that. I love that for you. Where can
Thank you.
people find you?
People can find me. My business is Jewel Consultancy. It's JEWEL
Mm.
Consultancy.com. They can find me on LinkedIn, Arlene Cohen Miller. They can find me on Instagram. And yeah, so those are the places they can find me. And I hope you'll post those, the little things, beneath um,
Yes.
our session.
I was just about to say that all those links will be provided in the show notes for the podcast episode for sure. So people can make sure to find you and get
Yeah.
a little bit of help, because I know that there's a lot of people that need the help and need the guidance and how to achieve that better work life balance. So, uh, you are a warrior for all, both as a lawyer and as a coach. And I'm sure people are appreciative of you in all walks of life. So, thank you for the difference that you make every day. It's very much appreciated.
Great. And thank you for the difference you make.
Lovely chatting with you, Arlene. Hopefully, we'll be able to talk soon and chat soon.
Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for listening. As I said in the beginning of this podcast, there is a number where you can text Arlene directly and she will make herself available to you if you are interested in using her services and her guidance in creating that work-life balance for yourself. Thank you so much again for always listening week after week, episode after episode. Till next time. Thank you for joining me this week for all the fun journeys and lessons learned on my big adventure called life. For more information on the different cities discussed, check out the blog posts on hieatexplorelove.com, posted every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If you have any questions or fun stories to share, feel free to reach out at hieatexplorelove@gmail.com. Until next week, remember to eat well, explore the world, and love yourself. See you next time. This episode is produced, scripted, and edited by me, Ashley. Special thanks to Sarah Mientka.